Hello, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome anyone who is viewing live or viewing this recording later on to Sportable's Wellness Webinar. This is part of Sportable's Wellness Initiatives programs, which we also call our Sportable Wins, all centered around promoting the holistic health and wellness of individuals with disabilities throughout the Richmond region community and beyond. So we're so thankful for you joining us today. And I'm so grateful for our presenter today. Our presenter is Meghan Farkas. She's an occupational therapy doctoral student from VCU who has been completing an internship with Sportable throughout the summer. This is her 12th or 13th week with us. So she's gotten to know Sportable and our athletes really well, and is bringing her OT knowledge as well as her undergraduate knowledge in kinesiology and exercise science to us today to help just share more about the importance of sleep for your overall well-being, whether you're an athlete or just someone who's striving to be active. So thank you, Meghan.
Thank you. There is such a hot topic lately on just the importance of sleep. And so just thought I'd do a webinar on it so people are more educated and just know the importance of sleep and just how sleep really impacts you and your well-being. So yeah, let's get started.
One more housekeeping thing. If you're joining us live on Facebook or YouTube and you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to throw those as comments. We can actually see the comments that you're putting in. So Meghan will address those at the end of the presentation. So any questions, comments you have, put them in as Facebook or YouTube comments. All right, we'll get started.
All right. So I just wanted to kind of start off with some just memorable quotes that I saw as I was doing some different research. So 40% of people with disabilities report long-term difficulties with sleep. So this can range from several months, several years, and it's just a very large percentage of people with disabilities that do encounter difficulties with sleep. And so another quote is that sleep problems are 3 times more likely or 3 times more common in people with chronic conditions. That can include traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury, multiple sclerosis, post-traumatic stress disorder, and Parkinson's disease. So a lot of our athletes, a lot of our community have these long-term chronic conditions, and they are 3 times more likely to have a sleep problem or have a sleep condition. So I just wanted to just quickly go over the background of sleep and the stages of sleep. So there are actually 4 stages of sleep. The first stage is the NREM, which is non-rapid eye movement. So this marks the transition between wakefulness and sleep. And so this is just the first kind of couple minutes that you're laying in bed, deciding you want to go to sleep and turning out all the lights. It consists of muscle relaxation, the slowing of the breathing and eye movements, and also slowing of your brain waves. Again, it only really lasts several minutes, but if someone has a sleep condition, this can be even longer. The next stage is stage 2 of non-rapid eye movement. This is characterized by a deep sleep as the heart rate and breathing continue to slow down. And then your eye movements will cease and your body temperature will actually decrease. And then this is typically the longest stage of the 4. And throughout the night, also these stages tend to be longer or shorter. It just kind of varies throughout the night. Stage 3 of non-rapid eye movement is that this plays a vital role in when making you feel refreshed and alert in the morning. So if you kind of go through these stages of sleep and you don't get a lot of stage 3, you might not feel refreshed and alert in the morning. This might be when you're feeling groggy, and just overall I can go back to sleep for several more hours. Also in stage 3, your heart rate, breathing, and brainwave activity will reach the lowest that it will in all 4 stages, and your muscles are as relaxed as they will get. Our last stage is stage 4 of rapid eye movement. So this is when the eyes move back and forth quickly under the eyelids. I don't know if you've seen videos on it, but it's kind of weird, but you see the eyes moving back and forth really quick. Dreaming will typically occur in this stage, and also this stage of REM sleep is associated with memory consolidation. So individuals that may not get a lot of stage 4 REM sleep may have issues with memory in the future, or just taking those everyday activities and just making sure that they remember like certain steps, certain activities, or certain habits. The duration of stage 4 is around 90 minutes, and you will then recycle back to stage 1. So you might wake up during stage 1 of non-rapid eye movement if you then transitioned from stage 4, and that's kind of normal. These are called wake periods, but then you should then transition into stage 3, stage 4, stage, and just kind of so on and so forth throughout the night. So how much sleep do we actually need? So this can really depend on you, your age, your disability, your preference, really kind of anything. But the CDC and the Sleep Foundation have recommendations for different ages. So the preschool age, which is ages 3 to 5, should be getting around 10 to 13 hours of sleep a night. This is because they're going through lots of stages of development, and it's good for memory consolidation and bone growth, muscle growth, and things like that. The next stage of school age is ages 6 to 13. You can see that there's a little bit less hours just because they're not going through such rapid development at an earlier age. So they need about 9 to 11 hours of sleep. Teenagers, 14 to 17, need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And over the age of 18, you really only need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. But again, these can really depend on how you feel, how much sleep you feel you need to get, and just kind of your own personal preference. So moving on with more science about sleep is that there is an internal clock, or the circadian rhythm. I don't know if you've heard about that before, but it's a clock, I would say a clock, that regulates your sleep cycle. So this controls when you start to feel tired in the evening and ready for bed, when you're feeling refreshed and alert in the morning. And it's just that whole period of, I wake up in the morning, I feel great. And by the end of the day, maybe around 7 or 8, I'm getting tired and feeling sleepy. The next thing is your sleep drive. This is also known as the sleep-wake homeostasis. This can be linked to the production of adenosine. So adenosine is an organic compound. This is produced in the brain and is used throughout the body in general metabolism. But what a lot of research has found, that it actually acts as a homeostatic regulator of sleep. And there's a link to neural mechanisms of the sleep-wake cycle. So what researchers saw is that your levels will actually increase throughout the day as you begin to feel more tired, and the body then breaks down adenosine throughout the night while you sleep. So they've kind of found that this organic compound that's used with metabolism actually might be linked to your sleep-wake homeostasis. And another thing that influences sleep is light. So in the morning, the body releases cortisol. This is in response to the sun and kind of light in the morning, and it promotes energy and alertness. I know a lot of people think of cortisol, they think of stress, but it has other functions of making you feel alert and have energy in the morning. And then in the evening, as your natural light decreases, the body begins to release melatonin. This can increase your drowsiness, and it's just part of your whole circadian rhythm. So just a couple common reasons for sleep disorders. So among the physical disability population, a very common reason for sleep disorders is physical pain. Another common is sleep apnea, lack of sleep association, light exposure, urinary incontinence, and psychological factors like anxiety and depression. And so with physical pain, this can cause frequent waking in the night, which is a top complaint among individuals with chronic pain. It also could be with difficulties with changing position on your own in the night, or you may have a pressure sore, which also causes pain and discomfort. So a lot of individuals with chronic pain or other, just if you're feeling sore, that can really cause a sleep disorder. The next is sleep apnea. This is caused by like your airway that's kind of closing and not being able to get as much oxygen to the brain. And it occurs when there are brief pauses in breathing during sleep. And it also causes loud snoring, frequent waking due to the narrowing and blockage of the breathing pathway. So for individuals with low muscle tone, especially in the mouth and upper airways, they may have an increased risk of developing sleep apnea due to those muscle weaknesses in those areas. With the frequent waking at night as well with sleep apnea, they're not getting probably the full 4 stages of sleep, and so that might just be causing other sleep disorders as well. Next is sleep association. These are your habits or behaviors that are associated with sleep. So for instance, a sleep association may be placing a pillow in a certain way or laying on a certain side. But it's been found that individuals with physical disabilities have been found to have a poor sleep association due to their environment or living condition. So this could be a noisy environment or neighborhood, needing to watch sleep before they go to bed, or other things like that. The next is light exposure, and this is exposure before and during sleep. So individuals might leave a light on throughout the night, but this can also interfere with the ability to fall asleep. And I know individuals with visual impairment or low vision and things like that might need a light on at night to see if they need to go to the restroom in the middle of the night to just see where they're going. But if you keep lots of lights on during the night, it can cause you not to be able to fall asleep. The next is urinary incontinence. This is common in individuals with spinal cord injuries and other disabilities. It impacts the brain's ability to communicate with the bowel and bladder. And so some individuals with urinary incontinence, any type of sleep disturbance throughout the night can actually alter the levels of water and salt that are being removed through the body. And this results in an increased volume of urine throughout the night, which is interesting. Lastly, another common reason for sleep disorders is anxiety, depression, and other mental health concerns. These all impact the ability to obtain adequate sleep. So if someone has anxiety or they are overthinking at night, I know a lot of people might just lay there and you're constantly just tossing and turning and thinking about things, and that can be a really big cause for sleep disorders. So with common sleep disorders, there is insomnia. This is the most well-known. It is a difficulty falling asleep or even staying asleep, but it can also include a type of sleep that does not make you feel rested. So if you're missing kind of one of the stages of sleep, you wake up in the morning, you're not feeling rested, that could be considered insomnia. It also can lead to difficulty with learning new things and consolidating memories. This is because, again, you might not be getting those different stages of sleep, especially the REM sleep, to be able to consolidate different memories. The next is excessive daytime sleepiness. So this is different than narcolepsy, which we will talk about in a little bit, but it is extreme drowsiness throughout the day. And so if individuals are not getting enough sleep, this can really lead to dangerous and cause inattention and unsafe situations. A lot of researchers have found that people with sleep disorders or excessive daytime sleepiness increase the risk of motor vehicle accidents significantly. So that's a really big thing, and just it can lead to very unsafe situations. The next is delayed sleep phase syndrome. This is kind of mixed up sleep patterns. So this could be you're mixing up, maybe you're going out all night, sleeping all day. That's kind of a mixed up sleep pattern. That isn't what your typical circadian rhythm enjoys or likes. It likes a typical, I go to bed from 9 to 7 or however you sleep, and you're up throughout the day, you're doing things and things like that to control your circadian rhythm. If those are mixed up, then your sleep patterns and a sleep disorder may be caused. Another sleep disorder is narcolepsy. This is different, again, from excessive daytime sleepiness. Narcolepsy is sudden bouts of sleep, and they are uncontrollable during the day, but they can actually be controlled by medication. Common sleep syndromes. So these are different than the sleep disorders. These are, the first one is restless leg or arm syndrome. This does not include spasticity, but it is the urge to move body parts because they feel uncomfortable. They feel kind of like you have to move them. They're just so uncomfortable. And it just leads to frustration and just not being able to sleep and being able to fall asleep. The next is bruxism. This is a term for grinding or clenching the teeth. This can cause headaches, TMJ pain, just overall not great also for your teeth. Next is sleep apnea. Talked about that as well earlier. This says pauses in breathing during the while you sleep. And the next is periodic limb movement. This is involuntary movement of the legs and or arms during sleep. So this might be actual spasticity. Sleepwalking, or this can just be walking or performing activities while you're sleeping and you're not actually being aware of it. So this does not actually mean that you're getting up, walking around the house, getting up and doing things. You might just be in bed and you might be performing out your dream just in bed. And the last common sleep syndrome is post-traumatic hypersomnia. This is sleep for many more hours than normal. So again, with those typical ranges, with 7 to 9 hours, 8 to 10 hours, an individual might be sleeping 12 hours at a time. They might be sleeping 13 hours at a time. That's way too much sleep than I think researchers agree to have. So it's just, yeah, post-traumatic hypersomnia, sleep many more hours than normal. So after all of that was just kind of spit at you. So why is sleep important? So sleep allows the heart to rest and cells and tissues to repair. This allows the body time to recover. So especially if you've done a workout, if you've been stressed, if you've done recreational activities, anything at all throughout the day, your body during sleep will recover and allow the heart to heal and your cells and tissues to repair. Also, getting adequate sleep helps prevent against illness and helping you to recover from illnesses. So this is really important for cardiovascular health. Doctors recommend getting enough sleep while you're sick, and that's because it really helps the immune system and helping fight off viruses, fight off illnesses, and things like that. Sleep will also help you consolidate memories, and this is helping form memories. So throughout the day, each little thing can be stored in one of our different memories. There's long-term and short-term memory. And so what we do throughout the day will be consolidated into short-term memory, and that will just stay there for a little bit. And while we're in sleep, that will be translated into long-term memory. So what happened yesterday is now in my long-term memory, and I remembered, oh, I have a sleep webinar today. That's in my long-term memory. I can bring that back up. Sleep is also important for maintaining mental health. So mental health is associated with sleep for mental health is associated with improving overall mood, preventing irritability, and decreased risk for depression. One thing I did not mention with memories, an example of that as well is that when an athlete practices and learns a new skill, say at basketball, sleeping and getting those 4 stages of sleep will help improve athletic performance by taking what that athlete learned in practice and storing that into long-term memory so they can just readily pull that up while they're at practice and say it's a play. They're ready to just play that out and not have to think about it, sit there and relearn it. Another importance of sleep is that it increases the quantity and quality of sleep, helps you improve athlete outcomes. So this can include improved shooting percentage in both free throws and 3-point shooting in basketball. This can include tennis serves. This can include endurance. This can include all these different type of athlete outcomes that are seen with getting adequate sleep. Also, improved sleep helps improve reaction time and accuracy of tennis serves. A lot of researchers have found that getting less than adequate sleep can really lead to decreased accuracy and reaction time in tennis and also other sports like basketball or other kind of sports where you need to have that type of just quick reactions and having accuracy to get a ball into a hoop or serving it to a specific area. And so researchers actually found that having good, adequate, and quality sleep helps improve accuracy of tennis serves by nearly 20%, which is a lot. And so the lack of sleep is just a lot. Lack of sleep increases the risk for irritability, anxiety, and depression. It is one of the most leading causes of depression and anxiety in individuals just because of lack of sleep. It also increases the risk for type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney disease, stroke, and even developing dementia. Getting a lack of sleep really increases your risk of developing dementia later in life by almost 50%. So that's a big, big percentage. Also, not receiving adequate sleep can lead to decreased speed ability and overall sport performance. Decreased accuracy, as I just said, with tennis serves and other sports where you need that accuracy. You're quicker to exhaustion. So if someone's training for a long distance marathon, a long distance bike ride, they can be easier and quicker to exhaustion and feel like they just can't go anymore. You also have decreased reaction time, difficulty learning and decision-making abilities. So, for example, such choices as like passing the ball to a player instead of taking the shot yourself, even if the shot is more difficult to make in basketball and it might have been a better decision to pass it to someone, you have difficulty making those decisions in the moment. You also have increased risk for injury just because you are you're not thinking about the safety and you're not thinking, how can I avoid injury? Just you're irritable. You might just not have the ability to kind of think of that at the moment. You also have increased risk for illness and lack of immunosuppression. And you also have increased risk for cognitive decline and poor school or work performance. So with short-term impacts of poor sleep, you have excessive sleepiness, as I said, which this can increase the risk for falling asleep during unsafe situations, like when driving. Drowsiness and fatigue are common daytime effects of poor sleep. And many research studies have found that the lack of sleep will increase your risk of getting into a motor vehicle accident significantly, as I said before. It also can lead to poor attention span. So a lack of sleep can hinder cognitive flexibility. This reduces the ability to adapt and thrive in changing circumstances. So in terms of sports, you need to adapt in different situations. And if you have a lack of sleep and poor attention, you may not, or as well as reduced adaptability, as I will also mention, but you may not be able to make those split decisions. With reduced adaptability as well, this may lead to rigid thinking, which impacts the ability to learn and improve. So rigid thinking is along the lines of, no, I'm going to do it this one way. I only know how to do it this one way. I'm not going to be able to make it, or not going to be able to change the way I'm doing things, making decisions. And so having the reduced adaptability kind of doesn't give you the ability to learn and just learn new things as well. With a poor attention span, poor sleep reduces the person's attention, learning, and processing. So this can really be detrimental in work in school. And a lack of sleep has also been found to have similar effects to excessive drinking. This slows down thinking and reaction time, similar to going and getting a couple beers, going out and drinking as well. So just a lack of sleep can really kind of set you up as if you were going out and drinking. Also, poor sleep can affect the ability to carry out instructions. So that's also with the attention span. So if your child is in school and they had a poor sleep, they may not be able to follow the teacher's directions. If an athlete is at practice, they may not be able to follow the coach's instructions, and they won't be able to carry those out. Poor sleep also leads to reduced emotional capacity. This can alter how emotional information is understood. And so that really, emotional information is kind of based on the context of everything, and it can impact how to learn something, analyze a problem, or decision making. So being able to also recognize emotional context, this is kind of reasons why things are happening, our emotional response to certain things in our environment and just different situations. And having a reduced emotional capacity can really lead to poor decision making and just not being able to process emotional context of information as clearly. And the last short-term impact of poor sleep is impaired judgment. So people who do not get sufficient sleep are more likely to make risky choices and focus more on rewards rather than on, say, the downsides of certain situations or certain decisions. It can be difficult to learn from mistakes if you're getting poor sleep and have impaired judgment, and it can also lead to just poor emotional responses as well. And so just dysregulated emotional responses and just making risky choices can happen when you're getting poor sleep. And also researchers found that individuals that play basketball, players lacked the ability to make a decision during games, such as when to make a shot. And so all these short-term impacts just all happen because of poor sleep. There are two long-term impacts of poor sleep. The first is impaired memory. So poor sleep impairs memory consolidation. This is, I've recently just talked about it, but it's because it disrupts the normal process that it takes in both the non-rapid eye movement and rapid eye movement stages. In these stages, those are when memories from day to day are taken from short-term and moved into long-term. And so having poor sleep can really impact your memory consolidation to build and retain memories. And another long-term impact, which is similar to impaired memory, but later down the line, is leading to dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So even one night of sleep deprivation can increase the amount of the protein that is in the brain during Alzheimer's. This is called the beta amyloid protein. This protein builds up in the brain during Alzheimer's, and if you miss or if you have one night of sleep deprivation, it can increase the risk of developing Alzheimer's later in life. So get your sleep. So just some suggestions. So with daytime suggestions, you want to set an alarm. You want to wake up around the same time every day. This is even on the weekends. Even if you want to sleep in, you want to try to wake up around the same time every day. Next is you want to include meaningful activities in your daily schedule. So like our Sportable programs, these can be your meaningful activities in your daily schedule to get you out of the house, to go and do something, or just participate in the wellness program. Just having activities that brings meaning to your life, that can really help with improving your sleep. If possible, you want to exercise every day, but individuals with disabilities who exercise regularly report fewer sleep problems. So if possible, just try to do as much as you can. And also you want to get outdoors daily if possible. Getting sun and getting natural lighting is really great for your circadian rhythm and making sure that's kind of in tune with how you want to sleep and how you want to take your day to day. You also want to try to limit napping to no more than 20 minutes during the day. But again, these are all kind of variable and dependent on you and your preferences. So this is just kind of what the research has said. And if you like to take 30, 40-minute naps, that's your prerogative. You do you. There are a couple more nighttime suggestions than daytime. So first, you want to go to bed around the same time every night. Again, even on weekends. So if you want to go out with friends, maybe around a certain time, you're like, oh, I think I should go to bed because I know I need to go to bed every time or at the same time every night. You want to follow a bedtime routine. So for example, this can be putting your clothes out for the next day, going to brush your teeth and washing your face, reading or listening to relaxing music, and then turning out the light. Your bedtime routine can include anything and everything that you want before you go to bed, and this will make you feel relaxed and just make you feel like you're ready to go to sleep. You want to avoid caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, or excessive sugar for at least 5 hours before bedtime. Research has shown that caffeine can take up to 6 to 8 hours to wear off. So you want to try to avoid caffeine in the afternoon and excessive sugar, of course, because that can your sugar then can really increase your energy. And so you just kind of want to avoid those 5 hours before bedtime just to make sure. You also want to avoid exercise within 2 hours before bed, if possible. I know some sports may be later, some exercise might be better in the evenings when it's cooler outside, but you just kind of want to avoid exercise within 2 hours before you go to bed. You also want to try to avoid eating large meals before going to bed so you can allow for time for digestion, but you also don't want to go to bed hungry because this can definitely keep you up at night as well if you're just, I'm hungry. Keep stress out of the bedroom. This can be like having fights in the bedroom with a significant other, paying your bills in the bedroom, or other just kind of activities that cause you stress. You don't want to bring that into the bedroom at all because that's kind of your restful area and you just want to keep that nice and chill. You want to create a restful environment for the bedroom. So this, you want to avoid excessive lighting, distractions, extreme temperatures, and also noise if you can. And then if you go to bed and don't fall asleep within 20 minutes, try to get out of bed and do something relaxing or boring until you feel sleepy. So this could be listening to an audiobook, listening to a boring monologue, or just reading, but just try to get out of bed so you're just kind of not laying there awake, frustrated. So meditation and mindfulness for sleep can actually really help improve just overall sleep quality and quantity. And so with slowed breathing, this is one of the great strategies. And so this can be deep breathing. So deep breathing uses the diaphragm. This is the major muscle that is below the lungs that is super important for respiration and breathing. So you want to focus on calm, deep breaths while you're doing this, and also slowed breathing as well, and focusing on your breath can really help reduce anxiety. You want to calm the stress pathways. So meditation can really help lower the heart rate and blood pressure. This is by reducing the activation of the stress pathways, such as cortisol, which is the stress hormone as well. And this will help kind of reduce the ability for cortisol to be released. And calming the stress pathways can also be done through slowed breathing, because it can help you focus on deep breathing and focus on your breath rather than the million miles of things in your mind. Improving mental health, you want to place focus on the present moment rather than the past or worrying about the future. I know I struggle with that, but just focusing on the present moment and just trying as much as you can to not think about what you did an hour ago, what you're going to do tomorrow morning, just kind of staying in the moment. And meditation and mindfulness can also be better for pain management. Many research studies have found that meditation can improve pain management for individuals with chronic pain. This includes techniques such as body scanning and acknowledging pain, but also any thoughts or emotions that accompany it. And then you're just kind of gently breathe through it, not rather than focus on it, and then try to avoid it and forget it. You're recognizing it, and then you're breathing through it. So this is a short meditation for sleep that you guys can try. I tried it sometimes, and it actually it works for me. I try it, and it's just really super easy to follow. So the first step, you do want to turn off the lights and also your phone notifications. You can either sit upright in a chair or lie comfortably in bed facing up. This is kind of dependent on you. And if you don't feel like turning off the lights, you can try to dim them. This is just so you're not getting distracted by different things. Your hands can be placed with one hand on the heart area and stomach, or comfortably by your sides. That's just what you would prefer. So the first thing you want to do is slowly breathe through your nose for a count of 2 to 4. This will expand the stomach and that diaphragm. And then you want to breathe out slowly through the nose for a count of 4. You want to make sure to relax the stomach and just breathe slowly and exhale fully. You're going to focus on your breathing, and if the mind wanders, you want to gently guide it back to your breath. And you want to repeat this breathing pattern for a total of 5 breaths. And so you can increase kind of the amount of time for the count breath. So if you don't want to do 2 to 4, you can decrease it to 1. You can increase it to 5 seconds. You can do whatever is most comfortable for you. These are some great resources as well for meditation and mindfulness. On YouTube, I found a couple videos by NCPAD, the National Center on Health, Physical Activity, and Disability. Those 3 videos are guided meditations. This is on their YouTube channel, and they have tons and tons of different guided meditations. But those are just 3 that I found that I really enjoyed. There are also hundreds of other guided meditations on YouTube that you can explore. Just be mindful that some of these videos, some of these apps that I'll discuss are more generalized to just kind of the general public. So they may not fit for you and just your abilities and your body. So just kind of pick and choose and just find what works best for you. Different apps. So the best I found for mindfulness is Headspace. This is an app that has a lot of guided meditations as well, but helps a lot with mindfulness activities. The best for personalizing is Better Sleep. And best for sleep stories and guided breathing is the Calm app. So if you like sleep stories, if you like to just fall asleep to listening to someone, they have a lot of great videos and recordings on there. And the best for beginners for meditation and mindfulness is something called Healthy Minds. Unfortunately, most of these apps do require you to pay for other services if you want, but most of them do have free trials and kind of a couple free meditation videos. That's why I do like YouTube a lot more. But Healthy Minds is the most affordable, and it's best for beginners as well. So it offers many guided meditations for free, and they also are just super great resources. And of course, we have the Sportable mindfulness program. They offer great tips for meditation and mindfulness. And if you're interested, I see Caitlin putting stuff in the comments, but it's also on our website as well for the mindfulness and wellness program. And yeah, so I saw a couple questions. So the 7 to 9 hours, does that apply to night sleep or is that nap added? So that is actually just for night. So those are just the recommendations for hours of sleep at night. So if you take a nap during the day, I think that's fine, as long as you feel like you're able to sleep at night. I don't think that's a big problem. Those are just kind of their recommendations for just the general public. And then memory consolidation, I had talked about this a little bit. So memory consolidation, so again, throughout day to day, you're learning different things. So I'll use the example of an athlete at basketball. They learn a new play at basketball. They're going to go home. They're going to go to sleep. Everything they learned from that practice is going to be consolidated from their short-term memory into their long-term memory. Their long-term memory stores kind of everything and anything. And so once they go back to practice in a couple days, they're able to pull that memory of their last play out into practice. They're ready to go. They're ready to play. And are there any other questions? Thank you for those questions as well. Those were good.
I added myself back to the stream. I don't see any other questions coming through, but we'll give it another minute. But I wanted to say thank you, Megan. That was so full of so much great information, great background, great research. I can really tell you pulled together a lot of the research and gave us the cliff notes that were really important to know so that we can all improve our health and wellness through getting better sleep. And I myself am a runner, and I know, as you were saying, you might not be able to have as long of endurance if you haven't rested as well the night before. And I was reflecting on some long runs I've had, and where I was like, that run was harder than it should have been. And I was like, it was probably the lack of sleep. So yes, so much good information. I hope everyone watching again live or the recording later on has similar kind of takeaways. And if you have any other questions about sleep or just are interested in promoting your wellness, I'm an occupational therapist. I work full-time at Sportable. My name is Caitlin Berry. I'm a health and wellness outcomes manager. So I'm always happy to talk to you more about how to promote your own health and wellness. Megan is with us a few more weeks. So if you have follow-up questions and you want to shoot her an email, you can do that at Meghan@sportable.org. That is MEGHAN @sportable.org. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer those for you. And then lastly, just wanted to throw up there, you can learn more about Sportable's wellness initiatives, everything we're doing in this kind of wellness space at sportable.org/education/sportable-wins. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much, Megan, for all this valuable information that you shared. And I hope everyone has a good rest of their afternoon.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.